other thing that you need to understand is that the left actually is the racist entity in the world. The Democrat Party in the United States has always been the party of racism. They're the ones who held the slaves. They got angry at the Republicans for, freeing their slaves. And then they realized that they couldn't be so open in their racism. So they became crypto racists. And what they do is they point fingers at other people and they falsely accuse them of racism to cover up their own racism. I mean, you spoke about our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, wearing blackface. I mean, there are 3 separate occasions in which this man is on camera wearing blackface. That tells you everything you need to know about the true racism that resides in the hearts of the left. But as far as Iran is concerned, right now, there's been a lot of pressure by the Conservative Party. Pierre Poilievre has been absolutely magnificent in getting up and speaking for the Iranian people, for freedom. He was out in Ottawa speaking to the gathered protesters over there, and the pressure that Poilievre and the Conservatives have brought down on the Liberal government has forced them to announce a whole bunch of sanctions today. So I think that they need to keep that pressure up, and I think the people of Canada need to keep that pressure up. I'd like to see another set of demonstrations, but I don't just want to see Iranian people out at those demonstrations. I want to see Canadians in those demonstrations. I mean, these folks are fighting for freedom for everybody. They're fighting for freedom for Muslims, for Christians, for Baha'is, for Jews, for Hindus, for white people, for Black people, for Asian people. They are fighting for human freedom, and we all need to stand up with them. And I love what you folks at Rebel News are doing. Your reporting on this and other issues is forcing the Liberal government here in Canada to pay attention and take notice. The Canadian people are seeing the horrible, horrific things that are being done to these brave men and women that are fighting, bleeding, and dying for the rest of us to enjoy freedom.
You're 100% right, Nick. And you referenced Justin Trudeau announcing very recently more sanctions against Iran. I think that's baby steps, quite frankly, Nick. I think why can't we have Justin Trudeau sanction those members of his caucus, first and foremost, the MP for Richmond Hill, where this incredible protest took place last Saturday, Majid Johari. And, I have a feeling there is something in the air about these uprisings, that there might be a positive outcome, that we might see regime change. And I say that, Nicky, because if you look at Johari's recent tweets and what he's stating on social media, he's all down with the Iranian people all of a sudden. Sorry, Majid, as the saying goes, a leopard cannot change its spots. We know how you really feel. But first and foremost, Nicky, that's what I would do. I would purge the caucus of people like Johari who are friendly to the regime, because I don't know what they're doing there. I would also prevent members of the regime freely coming into Canada who have blood on their hands, and they get into our country easy peasy, nothing to see here. And then when it comes to the IGRC, I mean, Nicky, why isn't that on the terrorism list? Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. But for Justin Trudeau, this is a nothing burger?
Well, like I said, the pressure that Rebel News and the Conservative Party are bringing on the Liberal government is magnificent. You got to keep pushing for the IRGC to be put on the terror list. And I agree. I think the Liberal Party should be pressured to expel members of their caucus that have supported the Iranian regime and the IRGC. And, Mr. Johari, no question about it that he's done that. He's got to be made to be held to account for his positions. And Justin Trudeau would be giving a strong message to all Canadians, but especially Iranian Canadians and any Canadian that has come here escaping tyranny, come here for a better life, to live in freedom for themselves and their family, should be clear that unless Justin Trudeau kicks out members of his caucus that are supporters of those tyrannies, he has lost all moral authority to be able to claim that he represents freedom and the Canadian tradition. And therefore, all these folks need to make sure that they do not vote for Trudeau and his Liberals, and they vote against him, even if you've never been a conservative before. This isn't about conservative versus liberal. This is about freedom-loving versus tyranny. This is about Canadian values versus the types of values that are abhorrent to Canadians. And all Canadians need to stand up against this, because the Liberal Party no longer represents Canada. I believe that we need to push the Liberal Party to change its colors. The colors of red and white, which are the same colors of Canada. The Liberal Party right now, based on how it's acting, does not deserve to have those colors represent their party. They need to put some other colors in there, maybe black and red, because it seems to be that they're representing fascist ideals more than they're representing Canadian ideals. Those are my thoughts on the issue. And I hope to God that Rebel News will continue to pressure the Liberals, will continue to bring this out to light, and will continue to expose Majid Johari and people like him that are supporting the Iranian government. And I hope that Pierre Poilievre watches this. And Pierre, please press the Liberals to expel anyone in their caucus who has supported the Iranian regime. I think that's the next step. I think it's a powerful step. I think it's an important step. And if he takes that step, then everything, I believe, is going to start to build in Canada, and the global energy to help bring freedom to Iran is going to just take shape, and it's going to help change the regime. Because I'm telling you, these brave men and women, Mahsa Amini, Navid Afghari, and the men and women that are being attacked and killed in the streets, they're not just fighting for their own freedom. They're fighting for the freedom of every man, woman, and child, not just in Iran, but in every country that's being oppressed. Not just in every country that's being oppressed, but even in our own home country of Canada and in the free West. They are, with their bravery, reminding us of what true moral courage looks like. They're bleeding and dying for Baha'is, not yet born. They're bleeding and dying for Muslims in Iran that are not yet born. They're bleeding and dying for Christians. They're bleeding and dying for Hindus, for atheists. They're bleeding and dying for every single human being who believes in freedom. And I got to tell you, they make me so proud to be an Iranian, so proud, because they represent the very best of us, my friend.
What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.